Today we're doing something a little different. We're not just going to break down an interview. We're going to try and crack open the playbook of a modern day builder. We're talking about someone who looks at broken systems and doesn't just see problems, he sees opportunities. Opportunities to rebuild entire industries from scratch. So yeah, today we're going inside the mind of Joe Lonsdale. And that right there, that's the whole point, isn't it? I mean, we live in a world just full of talkers, but Lonsdale's reputation, it's all built on action. He's not just predicting what's coming next. He's out there founding the companies, like Palantir, like Endoral, that are actually creating what's next. So the big question is, how does he do it? What's his mental model?
All right, let's dive right in. See, at the absolute core of Lonsdale's whole approach is this specific mindset. It's really a philosophy that connects everything he does, whether we're talking about AI or national defense. It's this way of looking at the world, not for what it is right now, but for what it could be.
And here it is. This is the master key to the whole playbook. It's called first principles thinking. Now, instead of just accepting, oh, that's how it's always been done, Lonsdale asks a much deeper question. What is fundamentally true here? So by breaking these huge, complex systems down to their most basic, absolute building blocks, he can see where the cracks are. And that's how he figures out how to build something way better right from scratch. Okay, so let's see what this actually looks like in the real world.
Okay, first up, AI. I mean, you can't talk about anything these days without talking about AI, right? It's a field just drowning in hype, but this is where that builder's mindset really helps him cut right through all the noise and find the real opportunity.
So here's the fundamental split he sees. On one side, you've got this almost sci-fi narrative, right? That we're creating some kind of digital god that's going to change humanity forever. Lonsdale, he really pushes back hard on that. His view, from first principles, is that this is much more like a new industrial revolution. It's not about creating a god, it's about creating incredibly powerful tools. Tools that are about to unleash a wave of productivity that we probably haven't seen since, the late 1800s. It's massive. And this way of thinking, it leads directly to a really clear investment framework. Lonsdale basically breaks the entire AI ecosystem down into this 6-level stack. It's pretty cool. So it all starts at the bottom, level 0, with raw energy. Then you build on that. Level 1 is the chips. Level 2 is the data centers that house all those chips. Level 3, that's the actual AI models. Level 4 is the software infrastructure that ties it all together. But, and this is the key part, for Lonsdale, the real opportunity, where the best risk-reward is, it's all the way up at level 5, the apps and services that actually create tangible value for people. And listen, this isn't just some theory. Lonsdale points to a whopping 40% of the U.S. service industry. We're talking $2 trillion in wages, where AI has already shown it can double, triple, or even quadruple productivity. Think about that. This industrial revolution, it isn't on its way. It's already here.
So that same playbook, right? The one focused on massive scale impact, well, now we're seeing it applied in a totally different and, frankly, much higher stakes arena, American national defense. And this is a place where Lonsdale's philosophy, it stops being just about profit. Now, it's about national security.
Okay, just let this number sink in for a second. China can build 230 times more ships than the United States. I'm going to say that again. Not twice as many, not 10 times more, 230 times. This is exactly the kind of broken system Lonsdale looks at and just sees this massive, urgent need to completely rebuild from the ground up. So what you're seeing here is really a battle between two completely different models. On one side, you've got the old guard, the huge traditional defense contractors. Their whole system is basically incentivized to move slow and go way over budget. But on the other side, you have this new model from companies like Anduril, and they just completely flip the script. They build the product first with their own money, they move at startup speed, and they attract the absolute best engineers by giving them actual ownership. So if you're the new guy, and the old guard's entire game is to just lock you out with bureaucracy and red tape, how in the world do you even begin to fight that? How do you win? The answer is, well, it's simple, but it is incredibly hard to pull off. You don't play their game. You don't try to outlobby them. You make politics totally irrelevant by building a product that is so undeniably superior, we're talking 10 times better, 10 times more effective, that the system literally has no choice but to pay attention. And here's a perfect story of that in action. Lonsdale talks about this company, Apeiris. They built this new microwave energy weapon, and they go to a live fire test, head-to-head against the big guys. And what happens? Their system shoots down hardened military drones from nearly 10 times farther away than the competition. In that one moment, with generals literally applauding, all the political games just vanished. The 10 times better product won the day. Okay, but this playbook, it's not just for software and military hardware. For our last example here, Lonsdale is applying the exact same rebuild it philosophy to something completely different. The very institutions that are supposed to be shaping our future leaders, our universities. And in this case, Lonsdale identifies what he sees as the core bug in the system. He argues that many elite universities, well, they're not really teaching students how to think anymore. They're teaching them to be afraid to think, to be really, really careful not to have an opinion that might be unpopular. And the one virtue he believes is most lacking, and the one we need the most right now, is courage. That's the problem he's setting out to solve by co-founding the University of Austin. So how do you even begin to build a university from first principles? Well, you go back to the foundational pillars of Western civilization. The whole curriculum is being built on 3 of them: the virtues from the classical world, the heritage from Judeo-Christian traditions, and the values and commitment to reason from the Enlightenment. The goal here is to basically forge a new kind of intellectual toolkit for students, one they can actually use to lead, to debate, and to build. All right, so we've looked at AI, we've looked at defense, and now education. Let's kind of zoom back out for a second and distill all of this down into a clear, actionable playbook. What are the core principles here for building the future? Okay, here it is, the Builder's Playbook. Number 1, think from first principles, just like we saw with breaking down AI into its core layers. Number 2, build a product that is 10 times better. Make politics irrelevant, just like Earpress did with that weapons system. 3, remember that this whole game is about attracting and empowering the absolute best technical talent you can find. 4, you have to have the courage to challenge the biggest, most broken systems out there, whether it's the Pentagon or the university campus. And finally, number 5, and this is a huge lesson from defense, you often have to build 2 companies at once. You need one team building the world's class product and a whole other team fighting the political battles just to get it into the hands of the people who need it. And you know, this quote right here, it really gets to the heart of why Lonsdale actually calls his own podcast The American Optimist. Because he genuinely believes that for every single major challenge we face, the answers are right there, in the combination of the values that created America and the relentless innovation coming out of the tech world. So we've seen this playbook applied to data, to defense, and to degrees. And it kind of leaves us with one final question, doesn't it? If you start to look at the world through this builder's mindset, what's the broken system that you see? What's out there just waiting to be rebuilt from the ground up?